the judge's brother worked with Blake Lively in the past. You heard me right. The judge that's going to be presiding over their trial in March, on March 9th, I believe, next year, his brother worked with Blake Lively. Listen, we have a lot to discuss, girls. Friends, we have a lot to discuss. Yes, I sat down over the weekend and I read the entire website. Now, I thought it would be a website listing all of the text messages that was exchanged between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. Now, that seems a bit petty. Thank God that didn't happen. Instead, what actually happened, Justin Baldoni's lawyers prepared 2 documents that are available on a website, which I'm going to try and link down below. Now, on this website, you have one document. They title it as Exhibit A, the timeline of events from beginning to end, from beginning when Justin Baldoni auctioned the book to the very end of today, up to today's date. The second document on this website actually is the amended original complaint, amended lawsuit. So it's the amended lawsuit where they added some things. So we're going to talk about everything. I don't know how long this video is going to be. Just know this is going to be somewhat of a catch-all of fun facts, talking about the amended complaint from Justin Baldoni, and also the amended lawsuit, and also talking about the timeline of events. Of course, the timeline of events with all the new text messages and everything is what people are talking about, especially on social media and the media. But there's a lot that people are not talking about. So we're going to go into it. I'm wearing my very comfortable attire. I'm filming this on a Sunday. Get your snacks, get your drinks. Like, we have a lot to discuss, friends, a lot to discuss. And you're probably wondering, am I on Justin's side? Am I on Blake Lively's side? I'm on no one's side. This channel is really for those who are just trying to understand the situation and to gather the facts. I am a huge fan of Justin Baldoni from Jane the Virgin, and I'm also a fan of Blake Lively from Sister of the Traveling Pants. I loved her from that movie more so than the Gossip Girl, in my personal opinion. And I did like her in that Time Traveler's Wife movie. I don't know how long ago that was, but she was really good in that. With that being said, this is an opportunity for those who want to get into media, who want to understand the movie making process, who want to understand lawsuits, who want to understand, how a film is edited, who wants to understand PR. This is a great opportunity because it is kind of like a masterclass. What is it? Oh, it's kind of like a masterclass. Oh my God, my little blanket's falling down. It is a masterclass of everything that is going on right now. And because Blake Lively gave her lawsuit to the New York Times, Justin Baldoni has the rights to provide everything as well, and to, like Brian Friedman likes to say, sue to oblivion. Let's get into the fun facts. So we are going to talk about fun facts, a lot of things, kind of like nuances, because you know me, I'm chronically online. I'm here, there, and everywhere. Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. I like to hear what people are saying, bring it back to you guys. So for the fun fact segment, we are going to talk about, of course, the judge brother. So yes, I mean, the judge who will be presiding over this case that will have the trial date of March 9th, I believe. I think when you guys corrected me in the comments, thank you so much. His brother worked with Blake Lively. So I think he's a director, actually. Now, people might think, okay, that might be a source, like an example of bias. Like, you think that, okay, this judge is going to be biased towards me, and me meaning Justin Baldoni, and will not preside over this trial quite fairly. That is fair. However, the person who then decide that, like, let's say you bring that up as an issue, the judge who is actually, the judge you think that is actually biased or not, not biased, is going to be the one to decide if the judge should then stay in this case. So there's that, right? Now in Canada, you can totally do that in Canada, and it's the same thing. Like, the judge would decide if they would then excuse themselves from the case. Now, it's very interesting because I don't think that would be the case. It would be a conflict for sure, but it's I don't know much about judges who excuse themselves from cases. All I know that if it's a clear connection and you know that the person is quite favorable, maybe the judge actually knows the client in real life, maybe it might not be a good thing to then preside over your trial. Like if you went to dinner with the defense and you went to dinner with the plaintiff, like it may not be right for you to then preside over the trial because there is an apprehension of bias. There's bias there. So I don't think that would excuse the judge, the American judge. I don't think it's strong enough. Basically what I'm trying to say, it's not strong enough evidence to excuse the judge from this actual thing, from this actual case. So I think even if that's the case, like fun fact, the judge's brother knows Blake Lively, has worked with Blake Lively. Next fun fact, they haven't decided to sit down and talk about settlement. So they're not even settling. They're not even close to, they haven't even had any conversation about settlement. Third thing, today, which I'm dropping this for you guys on Monday, I believe. Monday is when they're going to be in court and talking about a lot of things. So Blake, as we see in the media, Blake Lively's lawyers are saying that Justice Baldoni's $400 million lawsuit should be completely dismissed because they have no evidence. I personally think that's insane. I don't think that will ever happen. That's a motion. You can bring all sorts of motions. Are those motions valid? No. Are those motions ever going to get passed? Guaranteed to get passed? No. Now in Canada, it's not good to bring frivolous, stupid motions. Like motions in Canada and comes to law is more like there's a new fact, or a motion to change the name, or something procedural, or motion to start something early, or motion to end an order, like things like amend an order, like things like that. Motion to bring in new issues, new witnesses, but the motion cannot be something as frivolous as like, oh, I think the other side has no case. And I know in America they do that quite often. Right? I do think that in America they do it quite often. In Canada, not so much, only because if you annoy your judge, then you're screwed. Then your judge is going to have, not only like the judges may not look at you in a favorable light, and you want a judge to look at you and not find you annoying. Like that's point blank period. You want your judge to not find you annoying. So with that being said, you want to, if anything that you propose before the judge, you want the judge to be like, you know what? I will take that into account. You know what? I will consider that. That's a fair point. Or, okay, you want to add that. But the lawyers that I'm hearing talk about this are saying that people tend to do this a lot in America and try to dismiss an entire case. And of course, you can say that too here in Canada. But again, people tend to have more valid arguments when it comes to people who want to just like dismiss an entire case, like have a motion to dismiss an entire case. So they're doing that. So for you guys, that's Monday. So that's today. So because I'm dropping this on Monday. So what they're also doing as well, they're talking about the protection order. So in the media, they call it the gag order. So I think it's really called the protection order. Of course, Blake Lively does not like Brian Friedman and what Brian Friedman has done, which really it's not really just Brian Friedman. It's Brian Friedman and his like team of army of lawyers and paralegals and law clerks and assistants who have come together, and web designers have come together to craft this website for us to review like all the evidence and things like that and break it all down. Blake Lively doesn't want that. So Blake Lively wants to basically stop Brian Friedman from going to the press and talking about the case, going to reporters, going to, social media, dropping things to like, you know what I mean? What we've been basically having the opportunity to do, which is like read what Brian Friedman has been dropping for us, right? Which is the evidence, the documents, the new lawsuits, the videos, the voice recordings, the voice notes. and the text messages. So Blake Lively's lawyers on Monday will definitely be trying to quiet Brian Friedman. Again, Brian Friedman is not barred in New York, which means that he didn't take the bar in New York. Y'all can correct me. So basically, he has a lawyer who's working on his behalf, a couple of lawyers working on his behalf, and they are monsters. Like, when I mean monsters, these are very serious lawyers. Big time, big bucks lawyers, okay? So they're doing that. Another thing that Blake Lively's lawyers are also trying to do as well, they do not want Brian Friedman to question Blake Lively on the stand. If it ever gets to that point, we're not even close to there. But Blake Lively does not want Brian Friedman to depose her, which is insane. You can't really choose a lawyer who will question you. So when you're on the stand, your own lawyer is called the in-chief examination. So the actual lawyer who would question you and ask you all the questions about your own case and then have the opportunity to explain and fill in the gaps and things like that. Your own lawyer is called the in-chief examination. The examination and questioning coming from the other side, the person who is suing you or that you are suing them, the other side is called cross-examination. So Blake Lively want her lawyers to do something to prevent Brian Friedman from ever cross-examining her. I get it. Blake Lively, you're probably scarred from this. You're probably very, very, like, this is all very traumatizing, and it's very traumatizing for Justin Baldoni himself. So I understand where she's coming from, but you can't really choose a lawyer who would cross-examine you. You really can't. So it makes no sense in hell. But you can try. Even in deposition, you can't either. Like, you can't say, I don't want this person to be in the room. Like, you're not their mom. You're not paying them. Like, that's not your lawyer. You can't do that. So people are like, how dare she do that? I mean, I don't know. I don't know U.S. law that much. So, like, I don't know if people do that. I know in Canada, you can't do that. You absolutely can't. Unless the lawyer has done something so egregious, like, so crazy, like, so, like, criminally. But even if that's the case, they wouldn't even be part of the actual case, right? They wouldn't be part. They'd be part of the law firm, working on something else, but they wouldn't be part of the case. And then we also, another thing about the fun fact segment is the Sloan's lawyer. So Sloan's is the PR, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds PR, and she is hired by the lawyer who represented Epstein's victims. I could be wrong. Like, if you guys know more about this, let me know down in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, share, save. I love you guys. Make sure you're doing that, please, and thank you. It's my job to say that as a small-time content creator. Okay, cool. Subscribe. Now, Sloan's lawyer is the same lawyer who represented Epstein's victims, and I think they might, based on what I'm hearing from lawyers on social media who are talking about it, I think they might want to remove Sloan, like all the PR people, from the actual lawsuit between Blake Lively and Justin, and just leave it between the Blake Lively and Justin and not have the PR lawsuits combined. Also, fun fact, Blake Lively's lawsuit and Justin Baldoni's lawsuit has been combined. So meaning that the trial date that we're seeing, the March 9th, is in 2026, is actually for the combined lawsuit. You're probably like, duh. Actually, if you don't combine it, it's like you actually can have two separate hearing dates, which is obviously not expeditious for the legal proceedings, and not fair and just a waste of legal resources. So you don't really want that. So usually in these cases, especially when facts are overlining, same facts, same people involved, you want to combine the case. So that's the fun fact segment. Let me know what you guys think about that. Now we're going to go into the amended lawsuit. The amended lawsuit, which is the lawsuit that Justin Baldoni fined the $400 million. And we're just going to go into that now. Now that's also on the website that Justin Baldoni dropped. That is the lawsuitinfo.com. So I'm clicking on, so this is what the website looks like. I'm clicking on amended complaint. And then now if you want to follow me, I'm going to state page numbers, and then I'm going to give my take on to what we're seeing. Like, so there's a lot. That's why we're going to go step by step here. A lot of notes. So we're going to start with the amended lawsuit, and then we're going to the timeline doc, okay? A lot of people are talking about the timeline doc, but the amended lawsuit seems like Justin Baldoni's lawyers are watching our videos. Like, Justin Baldoni's lawyers are watching our videos. Okay, they're like, thank you so much. We'll take that. Thank you so much. You did so much. Thank you so much. You did that. They're like, thank you guys. Thank you guys for doing all their work. The media calls us internet sleuths. That's ew. Okay, we are. Call me like call me like a podcaster. Call me an entertainer. Like, do that. Like, internet sleuth. Ew. So we, meaning us and the public who are, interested and invested in this now, have found new information about Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni's lawsuit for the lawyers, and because we're all trying to piece things together, like I said to you guys, like, we're all trying to have a greater understanding on who Justin Baldoni is, or who Blake Lively is, and what happened during the filming of this It Ends With Us movie, piecing all the pieces together from her side, piecing all the pieces together on his side. Now, based off of the amended lawsuit, page 104. Now I'm going to page 104. And we're talking about Nice Pool. So Nice Pool is a character. Apparently, though, Nice Pool, the character, was based off of a cartoon. What's it called? Something book, like not a video book. It's like a graphic book. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Anyways, but people said online it's based off of Justin Baldoni, and I definitely can see that. I could definitely see it, girls. I could definitely see it. Now, we have Nice Pool. So starting on 104, throughout this period, so Nice Pool is a character in Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds' movie that was kind of filmed around the same time, I believe. So throughout this period, Reynolds Lively continued to leave breadcrumbs in their campaign for mocking and bullying Baldoni. And this is what us TikTokers and content creators found. And basically, Justin Baldoni was like, thank you so much. We'll put that in the lawsuit. On July 26, 2024, the film Deadpool and Wolverine premiered, starring Reynolds. The film contained a new character named Nice Pool, also portrayed by Reynolds. Reynolds portrayed Nice Pool as a vicious caricature of a woke, quote-unquote woke feminist, before concluding the character's arc with his violent shooting death at the hands of Lady Pool, a character voiced by Blake Lively. Upon information and belief, I can't believe Blake Lively was Lady Pool. Apparently, like, they go together like this, like Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively. If you hire Blake, you hire Ryan. Ryan is right there. Okay, right there. Which is weird. I mean, okay. Upon information and belief, the Nice Pool scenes were added to the movie and filmed in January 2024 after the January 4th confrontation in Reynolds and Lively's apartment, and were intended to be transparent and mocking portrayal of Reynolds' warped perception of Baldoni. Nice Pool commented inappropriately on a female's character's attractive body after childbirth and excused his remark by claiming he identified as a feminist. Nice Pool also made a reference to an intimacy coordinator and even used the hairstyle that mirrored Baldoni's previously longer hair. So Nice Pool kind of had like a bun, and then and like hair flowing down, and Justin Baldoni also had a bun and hair flowing down too. And in the actual Deadpool movie, Ryan Reynolds says, like, where's the intimacy coordinator? You can tell that whatever Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively was doing, Ryan was not okay with it. Like, Ryan did not like it. But this is like the overreaching question that I've been having throughout reading all of this, is that, Ryan, if you thought that your wife was in a unsafe environment and position, why in the world would you continue to have your wife to be part of this? Now, obviously, Blake is her own person and she can do whatever you want. But again, if you're in a toxic work environment and I have all the money in the world, I don't need this movie. I chose this movie. Then I could have left the damn movie. Again, I'm going to bring this up again because it's just so strange. So this is further borne out of by the fact that the credits for It Ends With Us Lively Express thanked Gordon Reynolds. And people, I didn't understand this, but they amended it and they broke it down. So the false name that Reynolds used for his credit for portraying Nice Pool. So in the credits of It Ends With Us, it's Gordon Reynolds who is actually, this is on page 106 at the top. Why is Ryan Reynolds, if Ryan Reynolds wrote the rooftop scene, then put his name in the credits. Like, why is it Gordon Reynolds and not Ryan Reynolds? It's so freaking weird. Like, why? While in Sweden celebrating his wife's birthday, Baldoni was informed that Lively demanded he not attend the film's premiere in August. Okay, so we're going into that. So that's one amendment that they did. So they added the Nice Pool. We all know about the basement premiere. I think we talked about that, how, Justin Baldoni attended his premiere from the bottom of the actual building, which is so crazy. I don't know why I highlighted this, so I'm going to read it and maybe something new came out of it. Finally, through Sony, Wayfair persuaded Lively to permit Baldoni and the Wayfair team, along with their friends and family, to attend, though only under demeaning and humiliating conditions. They were relegated to a separate theater to view the film, required to arrive at a different time than the rest of the cast. Yes, we know. So upon arrival, Baldoni began participating in red carpets. Yeah, so I don't know why I highlighted that. I'm going to move on to page 129. Okay, so page 129. And page 129, so this is where I'm like, and I said this in a TikTok. If you guys know, I'm on TikTok, Attainable Beauty. I also talk about the Blake Lively Justin Baldoni lawsuit there while I do makeup, do a lot of like beauty content there, and also talk about pop culture. But I made a TikTok about this because I'm like, bro, what in the world? Like, so let me read this to you. Because why is Blake Lively's PR telling everybody that Justin essayed Blake when Blake hasn't said that? Let me read this to you. You're probably like, there's no way. Yeah. That's why I said Sloan is very dirty and messy, bro. Messy and dirty. What I've concluded is that Sloan is dirty and messy. Like, she will do some dirty tactics, like put negative things against. Like, if this is alleged, we don't know the real truth, but based on what I'm reading. So let's listen. Following the release of Lively's administrative complaint on December 20th, 2024, the same Daily Mail reporter informed Nathan that Melissa Nathan was decried as PR, which they did an amazing job supporting Justin and representing Justin, that Sloan had lied. So the Daily Mail told Justin's PR that Sloan, who was Blake's PR, had lied to portray Baldoni as the foe. Yet still, Sloan escalated the false narrative by telling the reporter that Blake was SA'd, an unsubstantiated accusation that not even Lively had gone so far as to claim, designed to destroy Baldoni and his reputation. This is where it's so insane to me, and I'm hearing this too. Justin Baldoni doesn't really harp on this, but they're basically saying that Blake Lively's PR is saying God knows what. I'm going to talk about how, Ryan Reynolds was telling the WME agents, the management company, that Justin is a sexual predator. I'm like, again, if that was the case, why in the world would you want your wife to be still continuing working on a movie? Like, I just don't understand. Like, in November, like, it seems somewhere in July and August, something just turned. For November or September, August, something turned. At that point, if I would have told my husband to leave, we can pay the penalty. Let them start the production from scratch. Let them do it. Let them do it. Now, I can't really read the text messages, but that was just like an insane thing, which is also in the timeline of events, which we'll talk about next. And then we have what everybody's talking about on page 161. Like, they talk about, the virtual timestamps of the pictures in the New York Times article. And this is where people were not really listening when Brian Friedman was actually doing the interviews. I was listening. I'm pretty sure Brian Friedman, I don't know where I saw it, but someone said that I'm pretty sure that the New York Times had Blake Lively's lawsuit for a long time before they reached out to Justin Baldoni's team and be like, you know what, I need your comment. I knew that. Like, everybody's like saying, oh my God, he found something. No, like, I knew, like, because someone said, I don't know if it was Justin Baldoni's lawyer. I knew the New York Times had Blake Lively's lawsuit for at least a few weeks, at least a couple of months. It only makes sense because they gave the New York Times all of this evidence. They then take the time to write it. And yes, reporters sometimes work and type really fast. But I don't know who said it, but someone said like the New York Times had all this information. But Goosh on TikTok and Be Better, another TikToker, I literally on the same day, I believe, within hours, found the digital footprint of the pictures used in the New York Times article, where you can actually click on the pictures in the New York Times article and it will give you a timestamp of when those pictures were added to the website or when those pictures were created. Remember the New York Times article where it actually talks about the lawsuit for the first time ever, right? That bombshell New York Times article with all the Blake Lively complaint. In the beginning of that article is a graphic where it's like two puzzle pieces. Like Justin is here, Blake Lively, or Blake Lively's here, Justin is here. And that timestamp reads, December 12th, December 18th. All the pictures are December 18th. The website created was December 12th. So the New York Times had it for a few weeks. It only made sense. But what was interesting to me is that the New York Times wrote to Justin Baldoni and told Justin Baldoni that, you know what? They're going to publish this lawsuit today. You have until today to give us your comment. I wish they came to them earlier, obviously, but the fact that they didn't and they did leave a lot of text messages out was just a bit weird. Like, why were you doing that? And reading the time, like, again, 168 pages. I spent like the whole weekend reading this and analyzing this. Which we'll talk about. Like, they left a lot of nuance out, a lot of things out, and I think the New York Times is trying to come out, and that's why, like, it's hard for me to believe that the New York Times did all of this. But even with like how the New York Times kind of handled like the Israel-Palestine situation, I was seeing the stories and like they got some things wrong, and I'm like, New York Times, you're better than this. What in the world is going on? That's when I knew that traditional legacy media is not that gruel. It's not that gruel anymore. It's not. Oh my God, my nose is itchy, and y'all know I hate when that happens. Anyways, so there's that. And the New York Times, I didn't talk about this. Maybe I will. Let me know if you guys want me to do a video on the New York Times podcast. They did an episode, try to clear their name, and talking about their intentions and their perspective when it came to this entire thing, which was the Justin Baldoni Blake Lively. And you have the reporter who actually wrote the New York Times article. She was talking for the majority of it, and I was like visibly upset because they didn't really talk about Justin Baldoni's lawsuits, all the evidence that have came out. And they're focusing on how a campaign like this, like a smear campaign, can be wielded, and like that's PR. Like, I'm sorry, but that is PR. Like, am I not? That is PR. Like, no one has sat me down and be like, this is PR. Like, this is PR. Like, what I've learned is that you put out negative, positive stories about your client to sway conversations and narratives. That is PR. That is communications. And in some case, that is crisis management. So let's get into the timeline of events. It's just like, let me know if you guys want me to break down the New York Times podcast. It was like 30 minutes. I was visibly upset at the end of it. I was like, but it's quite like they're in a lawsuit, so obviously they want to put their best foot forward. So they're not going to admit to any wrongdoing in the New York Times because they're being sued by Justin Baldoni. So, where are we going to begin? Whoa, okay. So that was the amended lawsuit. Now we're going to go into the complaint. So, not the complaint, the timeline of the doc. Sorry, the timeline of the doc. So the timeline of the doc, we are going to talk about. I'm going to start off from page 23. Now, this is a timeline. Now, this is the exhibit. What people don't know, this will be considered as evidence in deposition, in trial, and it's good for the judge to have a timeline of events. Like, if you just gave the judge all these text messages, yes, they will eventually decipher it, but to streamline things so people can are on the same page, don't spend waste legal resources and the judicial time, you want to be able to create evidence and organize evidence that the judge can understand and be able to analyze. And you don't want to confuse the judge. You want the judge to be on your side. So you want to present a very clear story of the case. And this is basically the 168 pages that Justin Baldoni is laying down is a clear 168 page of their story of the case. This is their position. Their position, before we go into the nitty gritty of everything, basically, their position is that, number one, Justin Baldoni did not do harassment. Blake Lively was like, there's some misunderstanding, like she portrayed it to something else. Blake Lively took over the entire film, coerced him, intimidated him, harassed him, threatened him, so Blake Lively can do whatever she wants in this film. The third, that there was no smear campaign. There was no smear campaign. In fact, according to Justin Baldoni in the timeline of events, that Justin Baldoni's PR and crisis management and communications departments were all trying to work against the negative narratives and trying to prevent negative narratives from coming out, which we'll talk about. So that's basically their story of the case, and it's really important. Now, just because it's Exhibit A doesn't mean it's evidence. They have to actually introduce this document as evidence, but they're labeling it so people understand when they mean Exhibit A, this is the document, okay? So now we're understood. Now we understand. So I'm not going to go through each and every page. You guys can read it on your own, and there are content creators who are sat down and read each and every page on the internet. But what I'm going to do, like you guys know, I like to bring new information, talk about the new things that we haven't seen, and really break that down. And figure out how that fits into the pieces and puzzles of what we already know, right? Because basically we're trying to put together a puzzle. It is a 1,000-piece puzzle we are putting together. Okay, for those, page 23, for those who want to follow with me, page 23 of the timeline. I am scrolling on me phone. And some people are saying like this entire thing is better than the movie. I would say that I still like the movie. Like, honestly, I was good. Was it the best thing I've ever said? No. Like, was there chemistry? There was tons of chemistry in my opinion. Like, they look like they're married in real life. Like, some people, I heard Bethany Frankel, the Real Housewives of New Jersey, New York, or whatever. She has a big TikTok page, and she was talking about how like she watched the movie and there was no chemistry. I watched the movie and there's tons of chemistry. So, and this also is very interesting too. But is it better than the movie? No, I think it goes hand in hand. It's just entertaining, basically, and fascinating and interesting. Like, I'm learning, right? Like I said, so page 23. So people talked about like what people like to say, especially those who are on, Blake Lively's side. They're saying that, Justin Baldoni tried to switch halfway through the movie, of the promotion of the movie, and talk about DV when that wasn't the plan. Listen, on May 15th, 2023, a No More representative, which is the organized DV nonprofit organization. In May 15th of 2023, No More representative who attended the table read the day before shares a message of encouragement with Baldoni. Baldoni is eager to establish a plan to ensure that the film has the greatest impact in supporting victims of domestic abuse. So, and Justin made it very clear that he was going to always provide 1% each and every time when it comes to the proceeds of the movie to No More. I think it's in the earliest pages. I'm going to scroll to the early pages of it. 1% of the movie was going to always go to No More, the DV. Yeah, so September 16, 2022, y'all. Baldoni connects with a representative from the nonprofit organization No More, which raises awareness and acts to end domestic sexual violence with the intention of partnering in the film. The representative followed up with an email to Baldoni shortly thereafter. Wayfair partners with Sony to September 23. Their agreement includes, at Wayfair and Baldoni's insistence, a requirement that 1% of the film's proceeds be donated in support of survivors of DV. That 1% was ultimately earmarked for the organization No More. So Justin Baldoni was thinking about DV in 2022. So with that being said, that should shut down all conversations about, oh my God, Justin Baldoni just switched up because no. He was always thinking about DV from the beginning of this movie to the end. Even a No More representative came on set. Stop. Another misconception. So, yes, bring your flowers, bring your BFFs, wear your flowers, bring your BFFs was something that Blake said that was actually taken from a content creator on TikTok who watched an early version of the movie. But the actual timeline actually gave us an insight and told us that flowers were always going to be incorporated in the movie. Well, y'all like, that makes sense. Lily Bloom, Lily's a flower. Bloom of flowers. And Lily Bloom owns a flower shop. That makes sense. Flowers were always going to be part of the marketing of this damn movie. Now, in the early adaptions of talking about the promotion of the movie in early of 2023, Sony and Wayfair, which is Justin Baldoni's production company, talks about the pre-premiere campaign. Nationwide Lily Bloom pop-up shops, so fun and sexy floral shop around the country. Justin, and if possible other cast, to show up impromptu for photos, book signings, maybe even working in the shop. Partner with a domestic abuse organization, No More, which we already did, and local shelters to facilitate access to resources and safe houses. Early fan screenings across the country, cast flies from screening to screening before premiere. So flowers were always going to be part of the movie. Flower pop-up shops were always going to be part of the promotion of the movie. However, Blake was the one who decided to only talk about flowers and BFFs in the promotion. No More DV conversation were always going to be part of the conversation of the promotion. And Blake decided not to do it. That girl decided not to do it. Now we are going to page 24, talking about the wardrobe of the movie. The wardrobe of the movie. Oh, yes. Before we do that, yes, we could talk about, the intimacy coordinator. So let's talk about this. So this is page 15. Baldoni meets with the intimacy coordinator to discuss how to shoot this SCX scenes. It was important to him that the intimacy coordinator be a woman to help craft the scenes that would speak to the book's mostly female audience, i.e. be written from the female gaze. His notes from his meeting are pictured below and were later shared with Lively during one of their script writing meetings at her New York apartment. These notes would later become the basis for Lively's complaint, in which she states that Baldoni would talk about his own SEX life and insert gratuitous scenes with Lively's character orgasm. As seen in the notes, these mentions came directly from the intimacy coordinator's notes, goes down on her orgasm foreplay, the CLIT test. Oh my lord. Ideally, these conversations would have been placed directly between Lively and the intimacy coordinator directly, as Baldoni had requested. However, Lively declined to meet with the intimacy coordinator, leaving Baldoni with no choice but to take notes and relay it back to Lively. But Justin Baldoni did his big one. He said, like I said, I'm going to give you a copy of my notebook. That's my notebook. Notebook with all the intimacy coordinator notes. And he did it. Okay. Lily, like Ryan, this is not new, but we should also keep in mind, Blake Lively said that there was no scene where he would pick her up. Well, actually, they did write a scene. Like, Justin's like, yo, no, there is. Ryle says, F-U-C-K, F the hand, Lily. I don't care about my hand. Are you okay? Ryle looks back and forth between her eyes. Ryle looks back and forth between her eyes, asserting the cut on her face. Lily says, I don't know. I think, ... Ryle says, I'm so sorry, ... Please forgive me. Ryle presses his mouth to Lily's and breathes her in. Lily is so upset, she starts to kiss her back, in need of comfort, until Ryle scoops her up, the pickup, and gently laying her down on the floor, kisses her wound, a six of blood and tears now. Close on Lily, choosing her eyes, accepting apologies so viscerally. By the time she opens them again, it's clear she's convinced herself of one thing. Lily, it was an accident. So this was a really crucial scene, and I think this is the reason why Justin really wanted to do this scene, because it's an introduction to the brutal abuse, physical abuse, and the gaslighting that we were going to see throughout the rest of the movie. And I think that's why Justin really wanted to do the lift scene, because this scene is really important. Now, again, like I said in the previous videos, do you really need to ask your co-star how much she weighs for you to lift her up? However, Justin has a serious back condition in which he was in the hospital for because he had an infection in his spine. So, but I'm like, if you can't hold 100 pounds, how much can you lift? Maybe the doctor's like, yes, you can hold 130, and that's why he wanted to ask Blake. I don't know. Let me know if it's justified. Like, I get it. I get where Justin's coming from, but I also get where Blake is coming from. It's not that serious for you to know how much I weigh. But then again, if you're paying me $50 million to do this damn movie and all you need to know about my weight, like, I don't care. Like, here's my weight. Like, here's my blood type. Here's my social security number. Like, I'll do whatever you want. So there's that. So now we're going to... So this is where I said in the dancing scene videos that were posted by Justin Baldoni's team that Blake Lively may have a chance here when it comes to proving her as harassment, because Blake Lively was extremely uncomfortable throughout the 10-minute dancing number that Justin Baldoni released last week or 2 weeks ago. Oh my God, time is flying by so fast. So on page 30, they talk about page 30 in the beginning of 31. They talk about really the dance scene. But in the conversations of this dance scene, I see nothing in regards to Justin kissing. Almost kissing her. He kissing her neck and biting her ears and kissing her forehead. I don't see any of that. Instead, all I see is Reel 4, romance montage. Lily and Ryle slow dance. Ryle helps with flower arrangements. They walk and talk. Lily and Ryle slow dance in their bar. Patrons around them drinking and watching sports completely in their own. And again, I just don't see how I'm not seeing that Justin told Blake about the kissing and the kissing on the neck and all that. And maybe that's where Blake is talking about when it comes to yes harassment. And Justin doesn't even address that. Doesn't even address in this timeline, page 30 and 31, if you told Blake that you would be kissing her neck and doing all of that. I know all of you guys are like, but that's in the book. But like I said, is it important for you to tell the other actor what to exactly expect? Like I brought up in the previous video in Bridgerton, in the intimate sex scenes and the intimate scenes, they were extremely choreographed. It's like a dance number. Everybody knows what hand and mouth and eyes are going to be done, like is going to be moved next, right? Everybody knows how many kisses. Everybody knows when those kisses, where those kisses are going to be. Like, everybody knows where the hand is going to be. So, obviously it wasn't choreographed, but did Blake know that Justin was going to kiss her? And honestly, Justin doesn't really talk about that in this timeline. All they say is that, Blake was coming in and out of character, and Justin was extremely committed in character. They don't really talk about that. And that's where Justin kind of has got some explaining to do, Justin. And then again, I'm not an actor or director anywhere close in the filming industry, so I wouldn't know either way. I'm interested to get to learn more about that too, from actors. But I'm pretty sure you can't just like walk up to a scene knowing you're going to do X and you do Y. You know what I mean? But then again, if Blake wasn't comfortable, then she should have said something, right? A lot of the time, especially with harassment, like any type of harassment, any type of abuse, any type of physical abuse, like you're kind of like flight. It's like flight or fight mode. You're in flight or fight mode, and you're kind of stunned and shocked, right? This is another thing. So we're going to go scroll down to page 32. Blake calls Sony. So this is an interesting part, because like Justin Baldoni and states, this is new information. Justin Baldoni basically states that they had no idea where the 17-point return to work demand from Blake on November 9th came from. Yes, they did, because May 29th was when Blake told Sony and made a couple of complaints to Sony, and Sony's like, can't even do anything about that. And Sony then told Jamie Heath then told Justin, saying, hey, Blake kind of complained against us. So they lied in the complaint that they filed. Justin lied. So listen, look. Wayfair, so on May 29, 2023, Wayfair was made aware that Lively had placed a call to the film Sony executive to share a few grievances. So this is what Blake told Sony. Blake said, Baldoni's sexy comment about the wardrobe of her character Lily, which as previously contextualized was benign and mischaracterized by Lively, who took the comment personally. Second thing, Blake said that Heath showed her a post-home birth video, and Blake shared her grievances about the first AD, suggested that she be replaced. So Blake didn't like the assistant director for whatever reason, and the assistant director was fired. Justin Baldoni was actually quite sad about that, and Justin fired her because Blake didn't like her. So she and the second AD, who is also a woman, were shortly thereafter let go. So Baldoni and Heath were told that during the call, the Sony executive asked Lively if she wanted to take a formal action regarding her remarks. So this is where Blake should have left the damn movie or called in her SAG, her union, and make a formal complaint. But Lively responded that she was not interested in pursuing anything formally. Following the conversation, a Sony executive informed Baldoni and Heath of Lively's narrative, both of whom were stunned by the framing of the events. In her later CRD complaint filed more than a year and a half ago, a year and a half later, Lively distorted the nature of this call, claiming that she had contacted the Sony executive specifically to file an HR complaint and was told Sony was powerless to act. So I like to look at these allegations, honestly, as especially things that people say and do in front of other people that can honestly be subpoenaed and questioned and cross-examined as true. If you're telling me that, so what is not disputed is that Blake told Sony something. And Blake told Sony about her SR complaints, which we know are three things. Now, Blake is saying, oh, Sony couldn't do anything about it and they're powerless, which is true. Sony can't do anything about it. What can Sony do? They're just there to distribute a movie. It's like, how would I say this? It's like, because Sony's not the boss. Like, Jamie Heath's the boss. And so what they should have done, how do I explain this in Canada? Like, in Canada, it's like, I'm trying to explain. So let's say you work at a movie theaters and let's say you got harassed. The employer is in charge of dealing with that as harassment and eradicating it and dealing with it, mitigating it, right? And preventing it from ever happening. But your what's an equivalent? Let's say there's a pop-up. Let's say there's a pop-up in the movie theaters. You complain that X harassment happened at the pop-up, but like the pop-up can't really do anything, so you would have to go complain to the movie theaters. You know what I mean? Am I making sense? Either way, it made sense. Like, Sony couldn't do anything. So the only thing that Sony could do is like tell Jamie Heath and Justin, who's actually was the one Wayfair, who hired Blake, and be like, hey, your employee is saying that you S harassed her. Now, obviously, you cannot investigate your own S harassment complaint, and that's where I've told told myself mentally, this is where Jamie Heath and Justin Baldoni should have hired an investigator to investigate, okay? Or should have told Blake Lively, oh, you've been S harassed. You know, I'm sorry this has happened to you. I acknowledge your pain. I acknowledge what you've gone through. You should have your union rep here and let's talk this out. But that did not happen. There's not much Sony can do because Sony is not the one that hired Blake. I think Wayfair is the one that hired Blake. My nose is very itchy. Just ignore that, y'all. So that's also like a new development. Now, I did highlight page 33 because this was also not in there. So on May 29th, Justin heard about the S harassment, and then you have Blake Lively, who then sits down and have a conversation with Justin Baldoni. And they do this, I believe, with her new producer that she hired. So upon returning to production, Lively requested a meeting with Baldoni and the film's producers, during which she shared her series of grievances that she appeared to have spent the past 5 days over analyzing. From the outset, it was clear that she had scrutinized every minor interaction and perceived slight from the previous week. In the meeting, Lively revisited the sexy comment, an issue Baldoni had already apologized for twice. First, after the incident on May 23rd, and again later. Lively herself and previously acknowledged, seemingly accepted the apology. Despite this, Baldoni apologized a third time. Additionally, she accused Heath of looking at her on May 16th while she was breastfeeding or whatever she was doing. But Lively says, like, I know you weren't trying to cop a look. So after all of this, and after they were sitting down, it was quite clear that everybody was okay. Like, everybody, like, I know Lively seems to feel uncomfortable through all of this, but everybody came to some type of resolution. So there's that. So like Justin Baldoni basically lied in his complaint saying that, oh my god, it's the first time I'm seeing the 17 point. No, you Blake Lively actually complained to you in April 29th. Next, now we're going into like, okay, so they're done filming like the first half of the movie, and they now finished the second half. You know, they got the 17 point demand. They have that huge conversation with Ryan, with like all of Sony execs, the new producer, Wayfair and Jamie Heath. Now they're editing. And Blake is like, bro, I wanna see the dailies. My manager's there. I'm not there. Can the manager pick it up? No response. Blake's like, I know you're busy. I want to see the dailies. Justin's like, oh my god, what do I say? No response from Justin. Blake goes, I really need to see the dailies. No response. Blake then contacts her manager and tells the manager to then tell Justin and be like, hey, you need to give her something now. And Justin's like, listen, we need to put it together so it looks somewhat comprehensible when you're viewing it. It's not a time where you can actually view this right now. When I'm in New Jersey, when I'm ready to give it to you, I'll give it to you. Justin and Blake's like, you don't need to prepare nothing for me. Just send it to me. I can do it. I don't know why Blake has this confidence. Like this confidence of like, even though I'm just an actor, I'm also a director, producer. And I'm like, where does she get this confidence from? It's so crazy. So the November 19th is where she got 17 point. Okay, this is before. So November 19th, November 9th, she got a 17 point return to work. So now we're on page 55, y'all. So this is from the first half of the movie. Page 55 is Justin then gives a rough copy of the movie to Blake, because Blake was freaking relentless to the point where Blake had to tell her management to then tell Justin to provide a copy of the dailies. And basically, in the return to work negotiations, like Blake is saying, like, you need to tell Justin to give me a copy of the dailies, which is so crazy. It literally is so crazy. Because it's part of the return to work. Because in an effort to keep on track with finishing the film, I'm writing to address that I understand to be a few things that your client, which is Blake, needs moving forward, namely the one-liner, the new pages, and seeing the rough cut of the unfinished movie. So Blake's like, okay, you're not going to give me what I need, the rough cut. I don't know where Blake has this confidence and this entitlement to see the rough cut of the movie. You're not the director. The director hasn't finished editing the movie. You're the actor. And I'm like, bro, like what? And so Blake's like, you know what, I'm gonna give the 17 point demand, and then maybe you give it to me. And she got it. Like Justin gave in and got it in the negotiation of the 17 point. And Blake was just really, really, really relentless. And he just waved the flag. On page 58, he waved the white flag and he just gave in, even though he didn't want to, because he's the director. Blake threatens Justin on page 61. If she's not able to edit it, then she won't be able to promote the movie, which is like such an insane thing to say to somebody. And I'll read it to you. And this is through their producer. So like this producer that Blake Lively hired, because again, she doesn't trust anybody on set. So she wants this producer to act on her behalf, which is basically like her glorified assistant based on what I'm reading. So it reads here. Let me see here. Baldoni sent a group text to Lively and the A producer to inform her that she still needs a couple of weeks to get the film into presentable shape. So, Baldoni is still telling Blake, I can't send it to you. Like you can't. There's nothing to see right now. The movie is not in a good place. He proposes having Lively join the editing process during the week of the March 18th. Lively responds that she would like to be in the passenger seat while this is happening. And like Blake is just nearly relentless. So on February 24th, which is the day before, Heath and Baldoni are informed of Lively's request made through the A-list producer to join Baldoni on the editing bay. She also expressed that she had limited time before leaving to shoot her next film in April. If she could not be involved in the edit with Baldoni, Blake said she will not promise to promote she cannot promise to promote the film if she cannot see the edits and if she cannot edit the movie. In doing so, Lively infringed on Baldoni's DGA protected editing time. Again, such an insane thing to do. And as I'm reading this entire timeline of events, like I'm really not liking Blake. Like Blake allegedly, of course, seems like a really horrible person, because she hijacks the film. Now, Blake does end up seeing it, but she ends up seeing the movie. Blake saw the movie, starts editing it, and Blake starts to do a viewing with a bunch of friends and family of her movie that she edited. And this is completely in line with the Reddit post that was created on August 12th of 2024 that exposed everything that we're seeing right now. The edit post says that Blake showed the movie to Ben Affleck, to all of these A-list friends of hers to get their take on the actual movie. And everybody like watched it and was like, this movie doesn't make any sense. So Blake Lively ended up going back to the drawing board. So like that actually happened. That happened. I can't believe this. So that Reddit post, that whoever posted that, everything is saying is true because Jessica Baldoni is confirming it. So that's on page 78 and 79. So on page 78, that's what happens. Like, on the final day on which she approved the edit the film, Lively refuses to turn over her cut to the film's director and instead tells Sony she wants to do a friends and family screening of her cut to gather feedback and continue working on her edit. And when she got the feedback, it wasn't great. Like, her friends did not like it. But Baldoni's cut of the film was actually given to an official audience test screening, and they scored 94% with females under 35. Baldoni shares the official audience test screening scores with his editors. The trailer of the film is released to the world on May 16th. May 18th, Lively hosts a friends and family screening of her cut in New York. She does not share any audience feedback with Baldoni or the studios, even though the Reddit post said her family and friends did not like her movie that she edited, apparently. So on May 20th, Wayfair is informed through Sony that Lively, emboldened by the feedback she received from her friends and family, demanded an official audience test screening of her version. And she got an official test screening of her version, and they got it back on May 30th. And Lively's movie scored 82% below female under 35, while Baldoni's movie was 94. So Baldoni's movie scored much higher. And then we continue on. So once again, Wayfair found itself with no choice but to allow Lively to continue her edit. So even after that, what Lively ended up doing, that same evening, a senior Sony marketing executive contacted Lively to discuss the scores. Instead of honoring her original promise, because the promise was, Lively girl, you can edit your own movie and make your own movie, even though you're not the director, you didn't buy the rights, this movie is not yours, like you're just the actor. So crazy. You can edit your movie, girl, fine. But if the scores come back and your scores are not higher, we're gonna go with Justin. And that's what the Sony exec said. And instead of honoring that commitment, she didn't. So to make matters worse, Lively further asserted that Colin Hoover would also refuse to promote the film unless Lively's cut was released. Like, basically, she was soft threatening Sony, soft threatening Justin. Like, she's basically said, I am not promoting this movie unless you show my movie. This claim was deeply disheartening for everybody involved. So once again, Wafer found itself with no choice but to allow Lively to continue to edit. So even after they tested her movie, of course, they didn't score high enough, so they continued to edit it. While this is happening, like, Blake Lively is firing editors. She is firing the score people who create... Score people are the people who create original music for a movie. I didn't know that because I learned through all of this. Like... yeah, I'm more enlightened through this entire lawsuit, which is fascinating. She fired the score, hired her own score man, which we know, and he confirmed it on a podcast called The Score, where they talk about the score music, where he goes, listen, I just got a text from Blake Lively who told me that she wants a week for me to create a score to score a movie. And I texted her, like, no, it takes actually more than a week. It takes like a month to score a movie. So he ended up scoring it. She ended up calling Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift agreed to give a song to the movie, which ended up being the trailer, I believe, of the actual movie. And then we continue. Let's see what else happens. It's all insane, let me tell you. So Blake Lively ended up spending 2 or 3 months more than Justin Baldoni to edit the movie. And Justin Baldoni didn't really even have time to edit their movie because I think what ended up happening was Justin Baldoni had his movie and he went to go test it. Now, they wanted, after, even if it got 94%, there were still things they wanted to do to the movie. Blake told Sony, he's like, look, I don't want nobody touching the dailies. Only I touch the dailies. So Sony told Justin Baldoni's editors, don't touch the dailies. So even if it got 94%, they told, Justin's exact editors, you can't edit. You can't continue to edit the movie. So Justin Baldoni didn't really get his full director's time to edit It Ends With Us. Blake Lively ended up getting 2 to 3 months because Blake Lively told Sony, no one should touch the dailies but me. So, does everybody understand now? Makes sense, yeah? So, Blake Lively was editing the movie from April 22nd up until into June. On page 85, we do have Blake brings on a new composer. Like I said, exactly what Reddit says. Page 99, Ryan calls Justin's agent and tells them that Justin is a deranged predator. Yep, Ryan Reynolds is going around saying this to people. Again, if I know that somebody, my family member, my friend is working with a deranged predator, why in God's name would I allow them back on a toxic environment that has a sexual predator? Can someone tell me? I am the guy who's valued to have $1 billion company. I have multiple properties all over the world. I am going to leave my wife, the same wife that you guys were like this earlier in the timeline. It says that, Ryan, I never told you guys this. Ryan sent a long message to Justin being like, after Justin was being cringy and saying like, Ryan, you want to be friends? Like, Justin, stop being cringe. But Justin's really sweet though. Like, he's truly a nice guy. Sorry there, guys. He's truly a nice guy. So Justin's like, oh my God, I'm so happy to have your wife on the movie. It's going to be great. It's like, it would be great if we could be friends too. Ryan's like, of course. Just FYI, is there any way you can push the entire production of a movie with hundreds of people as cast and crew just 2 weeks earlier for us? Can you guys do earlier? Like, can you guys do that? Can you guys do that for us, please? Even though you're paying my wife $50 million to film a movie, can can you like push the entire production like two weeks earlier? Because me and my wife, we don't go anywhere. We're like this. I never leave my kids. My kids don't leave me. My wife don't leave me. I don't leave my wife. So can you push it up? And Justin's like, yeah, sure, I guess, yeah, nah. Like, what are you gonna say? Like, listen, Justin was just a pushover. Justin was too nice. I'm sure this is like really traumatizing for Justin, because it's like he now probably has imposter syndrome and probably doesn't even, trust himself in making, proper relationships or boundaries with his actors. And I'm going to conclude on all of this on the end, but he should not have hired Blake, period. During that 2-week period when Blake basically calls Justin to her New York penthouse and basically tells Justin, oh, I think my rooftop scene is really great. Like, right, Taylor Swift? And right, babe? Right, Ryan Reynolds? That was your time to get out of there. Blake Lively saw this movie as one thing. Justin Baldoni saw this movie as another thing. Justin Baldoni, the director and the person who owns the rights to this movie, should have been like, you know what, Blake, I like you as a friend. We're friends, but it doesn't seem like you understand the vision that I'm trying to get across here. I don't think you want to help me portray my vision and portray what I want in this film. And that's fine, but I'm looking for a particular person from this film. You're not it. Even though it's going to cost me millions of dollars, get a loan. even though if it was going to cost me millions of dollars to fire you right now and find another actress, I'm going to do it. I would have done it. And prevent all of this from happening. Can you imagine? Imagine if Justin Baldoni actually fired Blake, or just said, I think this is not going to work, and actually hired a different actress. I would not be talking to you right now. You wouldn't. Some of y'all may not even find me. That's what I thought. That's what I think should have happened here. Because I'm pretty sure when scripts are given out to actors, right? Actors read the script. The director or the production or the casting director, whatever, calls the actor and be like, do you get what I'm trying to get here? Do you get what I'm trying to showcase here? Like, can you do this? Can you do this for me? I need you to do A. Can you do A, not Z? Can you do A? You can't do A? You're not for me. I'm flattered you love my script, but you're not for me. Okay. So, now we are going to page 99, where Ryan Reynolds is just going everywhere and saying that Justin is a sexual predator. July 15th, 2024, Wayfair is informed that Reynolds contacted Baldoni's personal agent at WME, which the same agent as Ryan Reynolds. During the call, Reynolds escalates his attack on Baldoni's character, calling him a deranged predator. Baldoni's agent relays to Wayfair that he did his best to reason with Reynolds and challenge the absurd claims, but Reynolds was unwilling to consider any counter-narrative. Reynolds reiterated that Baldoni should not attend the premiere on August 6th, stating no one wants him there. When Baldoni's agent shares this conversation with Baldoni and Heath, both are disturbed by Reynolds' continued efforts to damage Baldoni's reputation within the agency. And everybody's like, oh my God, there was this premiere, and on premiere day, Blake Lively did not want anybody there. And that's why just about Blake Lively's team prevented. No, way before the premiere of the movie, Ryan told everybody involved, Justin should not step foot 5 feet, a foot, 20 feet near my wife and my family, because he's deranged predator, according to Ryan. Now, On Justin's side, on Blake's side here, that's Justin's side. On Blake's side, maybe he is. Maybe he is. In the timeline of this, in Justin Baldoni's timeline, technically, there is 3 harassment complaints. One was a random crew guy that complained about something that did not involve Justin Baldoni. I don't know, and then we have the other 2. I don't know if we're counting the other 2, one of the other 2 to be Blake Lively. I think it's probably another girl that Blake Lively is, being a martyr for, being a hero for, I'll sue Justin Baldoni for you because you're so powerless. Da, da, da. So there could be another girl or 2 who had harassment complaints. To Blake Lively's credit, that's still out there. So maybe Justin Baldoni could still be S predator. There are 3 complaints technically. We don't know all of them. And that's why that's why I would never choose sides, because especially for this situation as well, there's no such thing as choosing sides. It's understanding what has happened, looking at the pieces and trying to understand what happened, right? Blake Lively can come out with some bombshell crazy evidence against Justin Baldoni and it could look horrific. It's clear that Blake Lively's legal team is going through the legal route, not through the court of public opinion, because Blake Lively has tons of money. She has nothing to worry about. She doesn't need to make money. She can stay at home all day and read her magazines. But Justin Baldoni doesn't come from a rich family. This could bankrupt him and his family. He could be homeless. You know what I mean? So he needs to be able to work. He wants a career. He's young. He wants a career. God forbid. He wants a career. But who started the public opinion? Who started the court of public opinion? Blake Lively did by submitting it to the New York Times. Period. Okay. So, yeah, no, Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively didn't want Justin to be there in the beginning. Now, I do want to talk about the cast not following him. It's quite clear that Blake Lively blocked Justin Baldoni from it by Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds' promotion company was hired to promote the movie. There is a text between Blake and Justin, which they remain quite friendly and professional through all of this. Blake is hey, how's your family? Hey, FYI, can you send me my PGA credit letter? Justin's yeah, of course, whatever you want. Everybody seemed to be quite professional, two-faced to each other. Even when Blake is hey, my Ryan Reynolds promotional company is gonna help Kim do promotional videos for the movie. Don't you worry, yada yada yada. And Ryan's oh yeah, of course. Oh, I'm not even going to do my due diligence. I trust you guys. And it's it's weird. Reading the text messages, there's so much going on behind the scenes. So there's that. Now we are going to go into page 102. Page 102. Based on the convos, they were banning Justin and Wayfair. Justin's PR started thinking about hiring a crisis comms. So this was interesting. So page 102 was when Jones and Abel was trying to tell Justin Baldoni, it's time that you guys hire a crisis PR management, which is Melissa Nathan. So, July 25th, 2024. Okay, July 24th, day before. Later that morning, away first request, Abel connects Jones for crisis PR firm recommendations to represent Baldoni. Wayfair receives several crisis PR recommendations, including Melissa Nathan, a veteran in the field. So Abel, having previously worked with Nathan, endorses her based on her strong professional relationship. Wayfair meets with Nathan and her firm, and then they obviously list the agreement they have. And Melissa Nathan to this day states that they never used bots. And the reason why too they're doing this, that Justin Baldoni hired a crisis PR, is because they meaning Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, prevented them from attending their own premiere. So Justin Baldoni was scared of what they were going to do, but they wanted to be prepared. So, mindful of the potential premiere boycott and not knowing what Lively and Reynolds were planning to do, because Ryan Reynolds is going around telling everybody that he's a sexual predator, if Baldoni and team attended the premiere, Abel, his PR, Justin Baldoni's PR, emails Wayfair team requesting Lively's November legal letter, correctly assuming that Lively would try to use the letter against Wayfair. So the 17-point return to work. Also, another thing as well, like there was also, I forgot where it was, but little blanket. Blake Lively also never signed her acting contract. Can somebody tell me what the hell what is that going on there? I did a screenshot. I talked about this on TikTok, but I took a screenshot of this. Okay, let's see if I can find it here. Sony Marketing citing Lively's contractual approval rights over her image and likeliness in promotional materials, warranted that she could effectively block the release almost every piece of promotional. Okay, I don't think it's here. Oh, there it is. Yes. So it's in the April 30th, 2024 paragraph. So it states, faced with the escalation situation, again, like Blake is hijacked the entire editing of the movie. Wayfair considers granting the extension, but attaches a significant condition. Lively would need to sign her long overdue acting contract. So Blake never signed her acting contract. And this was something I stated on TikTok too. Could Blake actually say, hey, how you doing? It was not clear in the beginning on my role in this movie, and that's why I was part of the editing process, the producing process, the directing process, and everything in regards to that. And because I was part of everything in regards to that, that's why I was part of everything that was in regards to that, because it was unclear. It was unclear as to my role. You know, the acting contract wasn't signed, so technically I can be director, technically I can be the producer, technically I can be whatever. Is that something that they could say? They, meaning Blake Lively, that's something that Blake Lively's lawyers can say. That's the reason why the clothing budget was near over $500,000, 600 and change, I believe. But apparently, when it comes to things like this, a lot of the clothing gets returned. So you have a budget, meaning that it shouldn't go above that. But a lot of the times, the budget. A lot of the time those clothes get returned. So I think in the timeline, earlier in the timeline, she went over, and they just spent on Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni alone, and they went over like 600, like it went to over 500, over the budget was like 674, something like that. And then after returning all the clothes, they end up only spending like 154,000. Crazy. Over like 100. Like around 150,000. Crazy. So there's that. And that's the reason why Justin wanted to hire the crisis PRs, because of the whole premiere situation. So this was like really earlier on. So this was like in July. People were like, oh, you know, because like Blake Lively and everybody unfollowed him on Instagram. It was that, and also it started with like the block of the premiere and Ryan Reynolds saying that he's a sexual predator. Now, moving on. Yeah, I did talk about this. The WME on page 135 wanted Justin Baldoni and Jamie Heath to apologize. It was just a crazy statement. It was really insulting. I'll go with it really quickly before we end for today's video. So on page 135, if you're following with me, 136, sorry. So it's the statement that WME executives wanted Jamie Heath and Baldoni and Wafer to say to take all the negative backlash when really all the negative backlash is on Blake Lively. On Blake Lively. Like, only on Blake Lively. Like, and so that evening, two WME execs. Let me read from the beginning. WME, Abel, and Heath discuss yet another conversation between WME and Reynolds. WME shares that Reynolds and Lively are furious and with Wayfair and Baldoni for positioning them as promoting the film as a Barbie movie, while elevating Baldoni to speak on the more serious messaging. Like, that entire sentence is insane. Justin never talked about Barbie. Blake Lively did. Blake Lively was, the gaslighting is insane in this. Blake Lively wanted this movie to be Barbie, Deadpool to be Oppenheimer, to be It Ends With Us, Deadpool matchup. But It Ends With Us deals with serious issues, and Barbie technically does not. Reynolds and Lively purportedly believe Nathan is responsible for this positioning and demand that Wayfair release a statement of contrition, taking accountability for the negative press toward Lively and Reynolds. They warned WME that absent compliance means the gloves will come off. Like, okay, you're gonna sue him, cool. So it's a complete nightmare. So that evening, two WME execs, Heath and Abel, participate in a phone call to review the statement that they want them to say. Upon review, WME concurs with Wayfair that the statement was vague, implies culpability, and without substance, fails to address the issue. So here's the statement. It's actually so crazy. It Ends With Us was a troubled production. I'm sorry, it wasn't troubled, girl. It was not troubled. Which we take full responsibility for. We are very sorry to everyone we caused upset to privately and publicly. Blake Lively, Colin Hoover, the entire cast and crew led the professionalism. Does the entire cast include Justin Baldoni and Jamie Heath? Every step of the way, any negativity aimed at them is ours to own. We mutually agree that the cast would be promoting the film separately and understand why. We have always said we are not perfect, and even if unintentionally make mistakes, we will always own them. We hold ourselves accountable. It's not anyone's job, but ours, and that's part of being man enough, which is insulting. Ryan Reynolds does not know anything about being man enough. We will practice what we preach. We are learning and growing from the experience, and we thank everyone for their patience as we find a better way to proceed. It's really simple. All you have to do is talk about DV, which Blake Lively refuses not to. I don't know why. Like, even when the reporter directly asks that question, she goes, anyways, I don't want to talk about it. Like, the girl just wants to, like, come out of there. And, like, she's just, like, empowered and just going to be a bit... Girl. I get it. Like, maybe Blake Lively was traumatized. Maybe she experienced some... I don't know. History. But I'm like, girl, you can't play a movie that doesn't talk about DV. Like, you look insane. And why are you trying to evade it? You're the girl who's being DV'd. It's just, okay. And then it goes into, like, the whole marketing. So what I've learned from the marketing, let me sum it all up for you guys. Jennifer Abel, who ends up being the publicist for Justin Baldoni and Justin Baldoni, is very loyal and rides for Justin Baldoni. Sloan, who is Blake Lively's PR, dirty girl. Use some dirty tactics. There are some accusations that Sloan put out negative articles about Blake Lively to position it that it came from Justin Baldoni. And then we have Jones, who used to be Abel's boss and left and just represented Justin Baldoni. Jones, she's sloppy and messy. Jones and Melissa Nathan came together and be like, we are going to not talk to reporters. Jones breached that within 12 hours. Jones is like, girl, I'm gonna talk to whoever I want to talk to. Okay. And Jones was having kikis with reporters. Like, you cannot talk to reporters. Even if it's off the record, it's still on record. Because they ended up putting some of that, what Jones was saying, in the actual article. Why in the world would Abel do that? And there's text messages that shows that Jones was telling the Daily Mail and TMZ all of these things. Like, oh, everybody hates Justin Baldoni on set. There's only one harassment complaint. It's so crazy. If I was ever in Justin Baldoni's position, I would totally hire Melissa Nathan. Like, I don't care who she represented in the past. Like, she like, this is business. It's only business only. I'm gonna, yes, like, when we knew that Melissa Nathan was going to be Justin Baldoni's client. The other way around. When we knew that Justin Baldoni was hired Melissa Nathan, everybody, like, it was this huge backlash, and they even talked about it in the timeline. Like, they sent a text message to the PR group, and it's like, oh my god, this came out. Who leaked that Melissa Nathan was representing me? And the only person who could have done, the only few people who could have done it could have been Sloan, Blake Lively, and Jones, right? Especially Jones. Jones knew because Jones and Abel at the time were still under the same firm, and Jones and Abel, were talking to Justin Baldoni about what they can do in terms of finding somebody to represent them in terms of crisis PR. But Abel left Jones, and Abel doesn't work for Jones anymore. So Abel then went to go represent Justin all on her own. And so the only person technically who would have known would have been Jones. And so just remember, Jones is sloppy. It's all alleged, but someone we're reading. Jones is sloppy and messy. Sloan's is dirty. Some dirty tactics, dirty PRs. Abel is a loyal girl. She will ride for her man Justin Baldoni. She's been with him for 7 years or something. And then you have Justin Baldoni. And Sloan is not part of Justin Baldoni's team, but Sloan is part of the PR in this. Like, Sloan is Blake Lively's PR. She dirty. Doing some dirty tactics. Based on all of this, it's quite fascinating. I'm, again, to conclude, if this all is true, and I am treating it somewhat as true, I'm treating the parts where things can be subpoenaed, people can be subpoenaed and witness, they can be called as a witness and things like that, as true, because you can't lie about something and then not be able to prove it. Or you admit it. If you can't prove it, then you don't talk about it. You just don't talk about it, right? They're talking about it, which means that they can back it up. So, but of course, we're in the middle of the lawsuit. This is all alleged. Now, Blake Lively seems like a horrible person. I'm sorry. Blake Lively seems insane. Same girl. And she actually admits it too. She needs to stop talking to reporters. She thinks that she can do whatever she wants when she wants. When she forced the hand of Sony and Justin Baldoni to release her movie, she basically took the movie on the plane. Even when, let me tell you this. Even when Justin Baldoni, Wayfair, and Sony told Blake, do not air your version of the movie in the test premiere. Do not. Blake said, no, I'm going to. You're the freaking actor. You're the actor. Who are you to do that? And then she takes her version of the movie onto the plane and then airs it. No one knows that she was going to air it. And then she airs it. And then people were texting Justin that she showed her version of the movie. It's so freaking insane. It's insane. Reading all of this, I don't know who is going to work with Blake Lively after this. Who is going to work with Blake Lively after this? I guess, again, if all of this is true, we are looking at David and Goliath situation. We are looking at David and Goliath situation. The Goliath is Blake and the David is just to Baldoni. Thoughts and prayers. There's a lot going on, and there's so much. For you guys, I think this is Monday for you guys, so I'll let you know on another video coming up. Subscribe, like. This was a long one. Hope you guys were hydrated. I need to go hydrate myself. There's a lot here. Yeah, it's just, I just can't believe, like, the confidence on Blake Lively is just an insane thing. Like, she's like, and she even brags about it in the premiere when she gets interviewed after she showed her version of the movie for the first time to the world. She told the reporter, nobody wanted me to see that. Nobody wanted me to share my version of the movie. But you know what? I have an issue of hearing no. Like, I just don't know that word in the vocabulary. And I'm like, girl, you're not okay. Now, this doesn't mean I'm on Blake's side. You know, the S harassment is still up in the airs, because technically there's two HR complaints that we don't know anything about. I want to hear from the other people who filed HR complaints while filming the movie. I want to know what happens at the end of Monday. Like, if there's new updates at the end of today for you guys, I will post another video in the next couple of days and let you guys know on the court updates of Monday. Oh, I'm learning so much. Stay woke, stay healthy, stay safe. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment. I think y'all can send me money now if you want to. Like, if you have some extra $5, $10, $15, y'all can send it to me. Boost or whatever. I don't know. YouTube has these features. Whatever y'all want to do. Thank you guys. Love ya. Bye.